Harrison Okene was an ordinary man, working as a cook aboard the tugboat Jascon 4 off the coast of Nigeria. On May 26, 2013, the calmness of his routine shattered in a way no one could have predicted. The ocean, unpredictable and fierce, took a deadly turn. Rough seas battered the vessel, and within moments the tugboat capsized, sinking rapidly into the cold, dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean. At the time of the disaster, Harrison was in the bathroom, completely unaware that his life was about to change forever. As the boat flipped, water rushed in from every direction, creating a scene of pure chaos. But while others were swept away by the powerful currents, Harrison was trapped by a small air pocket. In complete darkness and freezing cold, he realized he was alone, deep beneath the ocean's surface. The shock of what had just happened gripped him, but there was no time to dwell on it. Harrison knew survival was slim. He had no food, no water, and limited oxygen in the confined space. The silence of the ocean was broken only by the occasional creak of the wreck shifting on the seafloor. In these moments, he clung to a single hope. Somehow, he would be found. But no one knew where he was. How could a man survive the impossible? How long could he hold on? The answers to these questions are what make Harrison's story truly remarkable. The tugboat, Jascon 4, was meant to provide support for oil tankers, guiding them through the waters off Nigeria's coast. But on that fateful day, the stormy sea took control. Within moments, the tugboat was upside down, sinking rapidly to the bottom of the ocean. Everything happened so fast. Harrison Okene was thrown from the bathroom as the boat flipped over, and in the chaos, he was pushed deeper into the ship. Water rushed in, filling the small, confined spaces of the vessel. Harrison struggled to orient himself in the cold, pitch-black water. Panic set in as he realized the situation. The boat had sunk, and he was trapped, hundreds of feet underwater. Breathing heavily, he made his way to a small air pocket, his only lifeline in the crushing environment of the deep ocean. In those first hours, Harrison's mind raced. He could feel the tugboat creaking as it settled on the seafloor, shifting slightly with the movement of the water. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint sound of water sloshing inside the boat. He tried to stay calm, but the weight of his situation was overwhelming. He was alive, but with no food, no clean water, and no way of knowing if anyone would even search for him. The odds of survival seemed impossible. His body began to feel the effects of the cold water. Shivering, with nothing to protect him from the freezing temperatures, Harrison clung to the hope that he might be rescued. But how long could he survive in these conditions? How long before the air in the pocket would run out? The reality of his situation sank in. For hours he sat in complete darkness, the water lapping around him. Time felt endless, and the longer he waited, the more it seemed that hope was slipping away. Still, he clung to the air pocket, praying for a miracle. Harrison's thoughts turned to his family. He wondered if they knew what had happened. He prayed constantly, holding on to his faith and hoping for any sign of rescue. But deep inside the sunken wreckage, no one knew he was still alive. The tugboat lay in silence, waiting, while above the surface, life carried on as if nothing had happened. As the hours stretched into days, Harrison Okene's ordeal was far from over. Trapped in total darkness, his body began to weaken. The cold water, which rose to his chest, drained his energy, making each moment a battle for survival. The air in his small bubble provided enough oxygen to breathe, but it was growing stale, and Harrison could feel the space closing in on him. He knew that if the air ran out, his hope of survival would vanish with it. Without food, his stomach ached with hunger, but the absence of clean water was an even greater concern. Dehydration set in as his body struggled to function in the hostile environment. The salty seawater surrounding him was undrinkable, and with each passing hour, his throat grew drier, his lips cracked, and his mind became foggier. The line between hope and despair grew thin as the basic necessities of life were slipping from his reach. But Harrison was not just fighting physical battles. His mind was racing, thoughts colliding in a mix of fear, faith, and uncertainty. In the silence of the wreck, his only companions were his memories and prayers. For 3 long days, Harrison remained in that air pocket, not knowing if anyone was coming. Time became a blur as he floated between hope and fear. His body, starved of warmth and nutrition, was beginning to shut down. His muscles were stiff, his head pounded with dehydration, and his breathing became shallow. Each breath he took was a reminder that the air was not infinite. And then there was the pressure. The tugboat had sunk about 100 feet underwater, and while the air pocket kept him alive, it also meant that his body was under immense pressure. Harrison's blood had thickened due to the cold, and the longer he stayed at those depths, the more dangerous it became for him to be rescued. A rapid ascent could mean severe injury or even death, but despite everything, Harrison held on. His faith and willpower kept him going, even when all hope seemed lost. Alone in the dark, surrounded by the crushing weight of the ocean, he found the strength to survive. He had no idea if anyone was even looking for him, but in his heart, he believed he had to keep fighting. Every breath, every second was a victory in itself. Above the surface, however, the world carried on as if nothing had happened. Ships sailed by, unaware of the man trapped beneath the waves. Harrison's survival was a secret held by the depths of the ocean, and no one knew that a miracle was waiting to unfold. As Harrison Okene clung to life in the dark, cold remains of the tugboat, a search operation was underway above the surface, but not for survivors. The Nigerian Navy and a team of professional divers from DCN Diving had been called in to recover bodies, as no one believed anyone could survive for days at the bottom of the sea. The wreck lay 100 feet underwater, a depth considered dangerous for extended dives, and the mission was a somber one. The divers, equipped with powerful lights and heavy gear, descended into the eerie wreckage of the Jascon 4. Their goal was simple: retrieve the bodies of the 11 crew members who had perished in the accident. In the murky waters, the ship lay silently on the seabed, its steel frame twisted by the force of the capsizing. Visibility was poor, and the divers had to navigate the narrow, flooded corridors cautiously. As one of the divers moved through the wreckage, he made an unexpected discovery, something that changed everything. Inside one of the compartments, he saw a hand. Believing it to be another lifeless body, the diver reached out, but to his shock, the hand suddenly grabbed his. In that moment, the impossible became real. Harrison was alive. The diver's initial disbelief turned into quick action as he realized the gravity of the situation. Harrison, after nearly 3 days underwater, had been found, but finding him was only the beginning. The next step was just as critical: getting him safely back to the surface. How could they rescue someone who had spent days at the bottom of the ocean without causing further harm? Harrison Okene's discovery was nothing short of a miracle, but the rescue was far from simple. After spending nearly 3 days 100 feet underwater, Harrison's body had been exposed to immense pressure. If the rescue divers brought him to the surface too quickly, he could suffer from decompression sickness, a potentially fatal condition where gases in the body expand too fast, causing intense pain, paralysis, or even death. The divers had to act carefully. Harrison was fitted with an oxygen mask to help him breathe as they began the delicate process of moving him out of the sunken vessel. Every step was calculated, as even the slightest misstep could have been disastrous. Slowly, they navigated him through the wreckage, bringing him into the open water. Once they had successfully guided him to the surface, Harrison wasn't out of danger yet. He had to be placed in a pressurized diving chamber for hours to allow his body to adjust to the normal surface pressure. It was a tense moment, but one that Harrison endured with remarkable calm. As he lay in the chamber, processing the events of the past few days, he couldn't believe what had happened. Against all odds, he had survived one of the most dangerous environments imaginable. His faith, mental strength, and sheer willpower had kept him alive. The world quickly learned of his incredible story. Harrison Okene became a symbol of hope and survival, a man who defied the impossible and lived to tell the tale. But his rescue was only the beginning of a story that would be shared for years to come. After Harrison Okene's dramatic rescue, the world was captivated by his incredible story of survival. As news spread, the media quickly picked up on the tale, and Harrison found himself at the center of global attention. His account of spending nearly 3 days trapped in an air pocket at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean stunned audiences everywhere. People couldn't believe how someone could endure such extreme conditions and survive. Interviews with Harrison revealed the sheer mental and physical challenges he faced during his ordeal. He spoke about how his faith and constant prayers gave him the strength to keep going, even when his body was weakening and hope seemed distant. Harrison recounted the terrifying moments of isolation, the creeping cold, and the overwhelming fear that no one would ever find him. Yet, despite all of this, he held on, driven by the belief that he would see his family again. The media attention also turned toward the divers who discovered Harrison. They shared their shock and amazement at finding him alive in such an unlikely place. The images of the moment Harrison reached out to the diver became a powerful symbol of hope. Harrison Okene's story remains one of the most extraordinary survival tales ever told. After his rescue, he returned to his family, grateful to be alive but deeply affected by his experience. The tragedy of losing his crewmates weighed heavily on him, and the memories of those dark days at the bottom of the ocean stayed with him. Despite the trauma, Harrison emerged as a symbol of resilience and hope. In the years that followed, Harrison chose a quieter life, avoiding the spotlight as much as possible. He reflected on his near-death experience and the powerful faith that helped him endure the unthinkable. His survival wasn't just a miracle. It was a testament to human strength and determination. Harrison's incredible ordeal also led to improvements in safety measures for divers and ship workers, as people sought to understand how he had survived for so long in such extreme conditions. His story inspired countless people, showing that even in the darkest moments, hope can prevail. As time passed, Harrison's name became synonymous with survival, and his story a reminder that sometimes, against all odds, miracles do happen.